because South Africans are just tired. They don't want to hear who is who in the ANC.
Who's the next ANC president?
Well, time will tell. We do not lack leadership.
Okay.
Those that are ready and available for leadership. We also have a political school.
When are we having a ANC woman president? Timeline.
We do.
20 years?
Well,
5 years?
I think
the next election.
You can just say it is imminent.
Any minute now.
Any minute now.
I'm not sure you are willing and able to tell us what is the current feeling of the ANC about Madlanga Commission, for example.
Well, when the president decided on that, we supported him because we didn't want to sweep things under the table.
Have you been following the commission?
Yes, I do.
And?
I have to.
Do you cringe? I cringe.
Yeah, it's, you see, when you are a leader, yes, you cringe, but you await the conclusion.
And if I was to put South Africans in this room and ask them about your political party, if they think it inspired them or disappointed them, what answer do you think they're likely to say?
King David Studio Podcast.
It's not often that we host in the studio one of the senior members of the ANC, NEC in particular. Today we managed to get a hold of GWEN RAMOKGOPA. I have to say doctor, because doctors are insensitive. How's our busy correctly? May I hope you're well?
I'm very well, Abu David, and thank you for the invitation, and I hope that we'll have a good discussion. I believe in developmental communication. Let's talk, let's converse, let's engage. This is our country. Today is Heritage Day, and it's our heritage.
Absolutely. You feature more Sunday World. Are you aware?
Today? Well, that last...
Yes.
Really?
Often. They featured
maybe sometimes, yes.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
You make it to you make
well,
it
I guess it also goes with standing in society. If you are in a leadership position, whatever you say, whatever you do, it's a public interest.
It is.
And it's intrusive. Wow, what else should we do? We must know that it is part of servant leadership. It's
an important word you use there, intrusive. It's the type of word that will make other people say, I don't want to do this anymore. Because the higher you go in political levels, because you once in regional politics, even local politics, and now at this level, it must be extremely intrusive that everything is watched closely by people. How does that make you feel?
It is very humbling. It actually puts a lot of weight on your shoulders and your consciousness and your soul. And you must remember that you're always watched. Mm-hmm. You're always stand in an opportunity of inspiring or disappointing. Oh. And you just need to do your best. But even Nelson Mandela did say that he is just human. We are not infallible. And we're just human, hoping that we make a great difference to better the lives of our people and of South Africa.
Hey, I have a special message from our new sponsor, Hollywood Bets. For anyone who hasn't joined yet, if you've been thinking about signing up, now it's the perfect time to do it. Hollywood Bets is rolling out an amazing welcome package for all new clients, and you don't want to miss it. Just for successfully registering a new account, you get 25 Rand sign-up bonus. It's that simple. No deposit needed. Just create an account and the 25 Rand bonus is yours. But that's not all. On top of the 25 Rands, they're also giving you an additional 50 free spins to try out on some of the most popular and exciting slot games. This is the perfect way to check out the platform and have some fun completely on the house. You get the 25 Rands bonus and 50 free spins just for signing up. To get this offer, just click the sign up link in the pinned comments right below this video. The spins and offers will be loaded onto your account once it's successfully activated. Of course, this welcome offer is for new customers who are 18 years and older. Terms and conditions apply. And please remember to bet responsibly. It's a fantastic way to get started. So don't miss out. Go grab your bonus and free spins. Do it now. You say you are on the spotlight. You either inspire or you are likely to disappoint.
Exactly.
And that is a big responsibility.
It's a huge
And
one.
if I was to put South Africans in this room and ask them about your political party, if they think it inspired them or disappointed them, what answer do you think they're likely to say?
I must confess that at this juncture, where you have a convolution of different interest groups, it's a little bit concerning that there is a lot of negativity. Some of it valid in terms of service delivery, some of it as part of opposition, founded and unfounded. I think we know that some of the leaders, even when they pick up negative things about them, they identify the source, they go to court for a court interdict. So it's that spectrum. Yeah. However, I think we must also talk about what President referred to as lived experiences of South Africans, which is also a spectrum. But what we must acknowledge, and this is what I plead with South Africans, that acknowledge that things have improved. We're no longer in 1994.
Or prior
1994. 1994 was the moment of hope, of, ululation, freedom at last,
euphoria.
And then we've been euphoria.
Yes.
And then we worked hard all those years. Mistakes were made, and mistakes were made also by individuals, not in the name or not in the interest or mandated by the ANC. And that is why at a point in time we said, let people who have to answer for wrongdoing answer without dragging the ANC into it. We may have taken long to intervene in that way, but we are on the path of renewal, and we're confident that there are many amongst us that remember that this ANC does not belong to us leaders or members. It's one of the assets, it's one of the heritages of our country.
Do you know, there's an article I came across, whether right or wrong, because lately you take everything you read with a pinch of salt, that says your current position in the ANC becomes quite complicated when you knock on doors to ask for donations, and the reaction that you get becomes difficult because of the negative branding that the ANC carries. Tell me more about that.
David, there are at least three issues around the fundraising and also calling on South Africans to contribute. The first and foremost is that we need to embrace our own democracy and fund our own democracy and not await foreign countries to interfere with our sovereignty. And therefore, it is our duty, including the skills. Like, for instance, my participation is because one has an idea of a policy, we legislated and all that. So maybe it's time to contribute to the renewal of the ANC with the time and experience we have. So it is us to embrace that it is our duty and responsibility, from individual citizens to corporate citizens. Yeah. And that's why I'm really excited that we have a law that says funds must also come from the public purse, because this is our democracy, it belongs to us. But in addition to that, there's a fund that's also managed by IEC, which is where corporate can contribute, and that fund is distributed equitably according to representation in Parliament. So we also encourage the corporate citizens who do not want to just fund a single party to use that fund. Many have done so, and we are very grateful. Then there is a funding of individual parties, where a company or an individual says, I will fund the ANC and the ANC alone, or the ANC and this and that and that. So in that case, we make it very clear that we are governed by this new law. And when we get to that, many companies feel, if ever I fund you and I have to now declare to IEC, the IEC declares publicly and reports to Parliament, and your opponents do not have maturity of democracy, they start hurling, either negativity. It also damages my brand.
Yeah.
So that is the biggest problem that we have come across. The majority of South African politicians, and also the need for businesses to protect their brand as well, because they want to outlive a particular era of contribution.
Of course.
So what we do, we also try very hard to, as I indicate, I talk about it, that people must embrace the democracy as their democracy, because then we will also protect whoever from whatever angle who contributes. We will know that they are doing a national duty. Yeah. Yes, there are those that are saying, hey, these negative things about the ANC, do something about them, because we don't mind to declare, but the brand is no longer as it used to shine. And that is why in my portfolio, there are 3 priorities that NEC approved that we propose. The first is brand equity, unlocking the brand equity critical.
Make it shine again.
Make it shine again, and make it shine as a norm, And then the second is credibility and impactful leadership. People say, no, we can't be jumping over sewerage, and I'm saying I'm one of the funders. So we need to know that whoever contributes must know that if we say there is a pothole somewhere, we must be able to get that government entity to resolve that. And the third, obviously, is a direct responsibility of my department, and it has to do with a clean audit and a healthy balance sheet
I think you need
by
another
the end of my term. So if we expect excellence from others, we must represent that excellence.
I think you need another point, and sorry, Papela. Fundraising.
Yes.
Because you have to raise the funds.
Yes.
We're talking about
yes.
ANC that was reported to be broke at some point.
Yeah, well, maybe it was transition. It was not really, maybe it was technically broke.
Okay.
Because it was transition between the period of before the Political Party Funding Act and after.
Okay.
I think we took time to adjust and adapt. But in October 2022, just before our conference, the Progressive Business Forum Investments was established to look also at commercial activities, because commercial activities is what would also enable sustainability.
I want us to have, as 2 South Africans who love this country dearly, who believe they want to make this country work, I want us to have a frank conversation, the kind of conversation that South Africans will comment on and say, but you didn't touch that. You should have touched that. Because it doesn't go as high as this when it comes to leadership of this country, leadership of this nation, leadership of the ANC in particular. So I'll be wrong to have you in this room and not ask you an honest question about your lived experience of this country and in the past 30 odd years of what exactly are South Africans saying about their experience of this country.
I think many South Africans acknowledge that it's not the same. We have made progress in terms of freedom, in terms of the Constitution acknowledging all our rights as human beings as equal, the Bill of Rights in the Constitution, and so forth and so forth. We've made progress in terms of education. We've had more children from black townships and disadvantaged schools having higher distinctions. It was a struggle, but we got there. We now even have a pleasant problem of having produced a lot of graduates. But the problem is that the economy is not ready to absorb them. So we've got different problems which needs different outlooks, different solutions. But certainly many South Africans appreciate that they are free. This is now their country. Some of the current new problems, for instance, we didn't expect a global recession in 2018. We're still reeling over its impact. We didn't expect a COVID pandemic or so and so and so. So as South Africans, sometimes we interpret the current problems in a manner that we do not articulate adequately, that we have a history and we have progress to preserve. It's just like people, for instance, not happy with medicines not available and burning a clinic. So we must guard against that. We must say, yes, we have come this far together. How can we deal with the current emerging and even some of the stubborn problems, like the question of land, redistribution, the question of corruption. Some of the corrupt activities have really regressed us. The question of issues of safety. You come from Mamelodi in Tshwane. We've had patrollers being killed
yes.
in Soshanguve.
Yeah.
You've just had a local councillor assassinated.
Yes.
So that concerns South Africans. These are real problems that concern South Africans. We must acknowledge them. We shouldn't tell them that, no, you get grants and all that. It is their
lived experience.
It's their lived experience,
yes.
but we can't then throw that back at them and say the problems you have are not real and are not a bother. So
and they're not genuine when they complain.
Yes, indeed. So there is acknowledgement of progress, and there is appreciation that it's a caring government for those who don't have, the little that we can share as a nation, so that people don't sleep hungry. Children go to school. There's a house, a shelter, and all those parts, components of the social security net. Very critical for a country that is caring and a government that is developmental. However, that doesn't excuse us from dealing with the pressing problems, and crucial conversations are necessary.
I want someone who's watching this and who's listening to you speak and say, I live in a shack and I've been living in a shack for 30 years. And you're saying my life is better. I want you to answer that person who's saying, but I can't, that's not true. I am not able to switch on the lights easily. I'm not able to access water easily. The nearest police station is 400 kilometers away from where I am. I live in a shack. The land I'm on doesn't belong to me. I don't even know who it belongs to. I'm paying some guy 500 rand. I don't even know who he is. He speaks a foreign language, but I seem to. So I want you to speak to that person and say to him, we have made progress, because that person doesn't say that. And it's difficult for them to even agree with you.
Yeah, maybe we must say lived experience by all.
Yes.
Then we acknowledge.
We're expanding.
Yes, but even that person who does not have a house even now, a decent shelter, is aware that we can. So we need to do that gap analysis and say, how do we close the gap? Is it possible? Yes, it's possible. I mean, countries like China have made it.
Sure.
China was at the level of South Africa when we're still wrangling with apartheid.
40 years ago. It's not long ago.
In 1978.
Exactly.
We still fighting apart.
Yeah.
But since then, they have really advanced, modernized, opened up, to compete favorably with any other in the world, and worked hard to ensure that they leave no one behind. We have made progress in South Africa, but we can still do better. There are those that are as yet to have that excitement about a lived experience, indeed. But we also know they would have access to a clinic, they would have access to schools for children, but we still need to deal with the gaps.
The gaps are big. I travel quite a bit, and I travel in the townships of South Africa. I travel in the In the cities, the towns, the small towns, the Kimberley, you're driving past it going somewhere. You're driving past Kronstadt going somewhere. I can tell you that those townships, those towns have deteriorated greatly, where the streets used to look better and so forth and so forth. And this is not even my own quote. Even your own president says that. He acknowledges that some municipalities are doing better than others and attaches an opposition party to that statement. I imagine once he said that, all of you said, yo. So, but tell me then, for someone that lives in a Kimberley that used to look pretty, in a city of Tshwane that you ran, that used to look very pretty. I remember going to Edgar's, Motramshed, which I know you know very well. Mokone.
I used to have my surgery there, actually.
Do you see what I'm talking about? That time when you used to have your surgery there, it was a very different looking as a city of Tshwane. And this is one example of many. I went to school in Durban. Point Road, that area used to look pretty. It has changed completely to the worst. So help me understand
David, when I was asked to be part of the City Council of Pretoria, we had a very difficult engagement with all other parties. It was a multi-party committee, executive committee. And we reached an agreement that we will maintain good road networks where they are, mainly white areas, and we will have a master plan to grade and to finally tar roads in townships like Atteridgeville and Mamelodi and all. So there was a plan, and that's where we must start. We made great progress. For instance, the whole of Atteridgeville was the first township before Soweto. And I want to also acknowledge the good work of tarring the whole of Soweto, which was quite bigger than Atteridgeville. So there was progress made. And then we maintained the other areas. I have no doubt that your schoolmate or alumni, Sputla, coming after us, Dr. Khosi and so RAMOKGOPA coming after us, build on that. What happened? I think we must ask the opposition who took over.
Because I even crumble?
Yes, Atteridgeville used to be one of the cleanest townships in South Africa.
Yeah,
but we even went with some of our colleagues we started a Sevens of Peli program to go and clean Atteridgeville. It was stinking, it was filthy, the townships were neglected, and even now with this multi-party or local coalition now, we find that they have to deal with financial decline. And that's why the president had to explain himself that he was talking about the issue of clean audits. And those that are becoming triumphalists, they want to really divert from the conversation. And the conversation is that he expects, especially those from the ANC, to be good at it in all round, at service delivery, at clean audits, that's institutional integrity, and also in the way we serve our people and running the institution. That's what we must do. The ANC must lead by example, and that's the message that he's saying. Where we lead, it's okay. He was highlighting an area where we need to do more. And I can tell you that we've all heard, and there is commitment from councillors.
Is there unity of mind in terms of making a difference in people's lives? I ask this question because ANC always comes across as a party that, if it works, it does a good job, if they do it well, but then they end up fighting amongst themselves.
Yeah.
And in the fight amongst yourselves, you end up, Koha never delivers anything productive. It ends up with other parties forming instead. As we speak today, are we saying, and I must commend the president for doing something that no one has done before, of containing your problems within the house for a long time. It's only now that we start hearing other people saying other things. Very recently, that Mkunu spoke about, the complications in the leadership and so forth. Before, such things used to be kept in-house. Based on your position that you hold, is there a unity of mind in terms of what South Africa should go and where it should go by the ANC right now?
We acknowledge that we're at a crossroads in terms of our nation, building the nation and advancing transformation. And that because we were inward focused, we didn't even perform well in the last elections.
100%.
And it is a sobering moment of reflecting on why was the ANC founded. It was founded to serve our people and not for self-service, not for self-enrichment and all that. So I think most, if not all of us, are acknowledging it. And that's why the humility of even saying that let us work with all parties regardless. Some South Africans have voted for them. Let us respect South Africans and be big because we are a bigger party with a bigger mandate. Let's rather build and have unity. Not only unity within the ANC and its allies, but national unity. And that's one thing that is really a passion of the president, that we were fighting for a united South Africa. And this is it. Those who have skills, let us make them at the disposal of the nation. Those that have experience, the nation needs us, needs you. And that's time to talk about patriotism, about how we move forward together as a nation.
Are there things that we're leaving behind in the effort of unity? There are people who will stand up tall and say the illusion of a united nation, what the rainbow nation of Nelson Mandela was exactly that, was just an illusion, because there's no equality in a society where other people get better education than others. And when you look at their differences, it's either money or the color of their skin. Other people get a better hospital because they can afford medical aid, and others will never will in their lives. Can an environment like that ever bring us to a point where we say we are united, but yet there's so many big differences between Sandton and Alexander?
I believe that we must focus on the job at hand and identify who can contribute positively. The state has got access to huge resources. In budget 2025, there is an announcement of over 1 trillion rands for infrastructure. And if we say we are going to use the state procurement to also close the inequality gap in the economy, we must then focus on what needs to be done.
Yes.
If we're saying that to close the gender gap in the economy, 40% of that procurement must be for women-led businesses, then that's the job at hand. Let's focus on it. Sometimes the debates are meant to distract us from the real issues.
That's true.
But if we
I know my opinion, I think Madlanga is a distraction. But it's fine, let's carry on.
Well, Madlanga sometimes is necessary so that we get to the truth.
Yes, we'll get to it.
In a difficult issue.
We'll get to it.
Yes, because transparency also begets accountability as well. So that's really our philosophy. That's really our commitment.
Yes.
And we've said it many a times. And I really call on South Africans that we must focus. We've made a lot of breakthroughs. There's talk of a bulging black middle strata. They even call us the black diamonds. Who calls us that? It is the corporate world, the investors and all that. They appreciate that the resources in the hands, for instance, of black people is now increasing. And instead of us just standing back and say we have not achieved much, let's say with what we have, for instance, also with the economy in black townships, how do we channel it to self-empower We don't have to be apologetic about it. Self-empower. And I believe that we can really move faster if we focus in a manner that we don't fight amongst ourselves, but we focus on what needs to be done, the crucial areas of interventions.
You're talking small business, and I'll go there for 1 second. A company the size of Discovery, which is a multi-billion rands company, carries a similar amount of tax to a small company that got a 100,000 tender in terms of the tax burden that they have to pay. The same company that has gotten a 100,000 tender pays the same amount of money to employ young people within their company, the same way as Discovery does. I say this deliberately to compare Discovery and a small guy in the township. That isn't it time for us to encourage young people to have businesses by bending the rules slightly for them to be encouraged to continue with these efforts, where to avoid a situation where he says, I can't do this because the little profit I make, I end up having to pay all sorts of taxes and all sorts of challenges that I am confronted with. And when you look through it, you realize that these are the same challenges that a multi-billion rands company is experiencing. Is there room within South Africa for a small business to be encouraged and accommodated differently?
Well, I agree with you that we must guard against over-regulation. I think it was maybe around February that the CIPC just deregistered a number of companies.
100%. Because they didn't pay.
Because they didn't pay this, they didn't declare this, and some don't have data to do that. And I would really want to challenge you to invite the Minister of Small Business Development so that she can explain. She's very passionate about this area, the interventions that are in place, and also some of the proactive assistance that is given, both technical and also in terms of financial, from grants to affordable loans and all that her department is having for that. But yes, let's do more. And I like what I call think tanks. Let's have those that are in the sector articulate themselves, that let's have experts like universities. This should not be ivory towers. They must come and participate and listen and translate that into policies, into programs, and into legislation if need be, so that we are enabling. We are able to we softened our legislative environment to be able to host 2010 World Cup.
We did quite a bit.
We are now softening also. We are also softening compliance with the BBBEE and saying that if you have a trust or a foundation or a program in a community, that then adds on. Whereas BBBEE was strictly in terms of individuals and persons. But now it's been broadened a bit to say even investment. So we as we learn that some of the regulations, which are meaning well, are a barrier for productivity, for small businesses, for even traders. You were chatting earlier on that young people used to sell sweets at stadia, oranges, fruits, and all that to make a living. And to complement the families that were poor, to get something for, sandwiches, going to school and all those things. So we need to create an enabling environment for broader participation. My experience is that the small businesses are the ones that carry an economy. The big ones, yes, they're important. They're good because you also need economies of scale, like in finance, like in health and all that. You need to pool resources. When I was in Tshwane's local economy was growing at a higher rate than provincial and national, because there are small businesses, many small businesses by different communities. So that is a known fact. It's tested.
That's why I say we should encourage them.
You spot on.
Tax breaks, you name it, we should do it.
I will certainly take it up with the minister to also come on your studio.
Let's talk.
So that you talk more deeper into this to empower the listeners.
Yeah. From a distance, we as South Africans, and I say we, and I'm wrong to represent so many people without their permission, we've always seen the succession planning within the ANC as a very complicated thing. And I'll tell you why. Because there are always headlines that say, we don't talk about that. That statement has come across from some of the leaders, whether currently or in the past. We don't talk about succession in this party. However, you're going to be confronted by a situation where there will be battles, and those battles end up becoming factional, and they end up breaking the party. I want you to give me a perspective on succession planning within the ANC. Is it even there? Let's go back in history to Nelson Mandela and Thabo Mbeki transition, for example. Was it planned in advance, or was it a momentary thing that was decided the day before, for example? Give me a sense of what is succession planning according to the ANC.
Thank you very much for that question. It is necessary to do succession planning. The history of the ANC has a particular background. For instance, O.R. Tambo is the longest serving president of the ANC. However, he considered himself as a stand-in president to lead the ANC in its times of difficulties, of exile, of banishments, of also detentions and imprisonment. And when Nelson Mandela was released from prison, he was ready to hand over. There were no fights about let Nelson Mandela take us over now from here to the next period. So and when you then but our policy has always been that each one of us is a leader wherever you are.
Okay.
And you need to inspire society. You need to be the best cadre wherever you are. And you will recognize that we grew up in an era where we were all-rounders, leaders in youth, leaders in women, leaders, and mobilizing even workers so that we are well organized. So coming to now, post, we say it's not yet Uhuru. The liberation movement has not exhausted its or has not arrived where the nation has to arrive.
The struggle continues.
The struggle continues. So it is important to know that we're saying it's not about us. And that's the philosophy that's guiding us. So when time for elections come, then we present all the leaders that are available to stand. Now it's in a democratic era. And then the branches discuss about the leadership. We have the Integrity Commission and the Election Commission that also have developed guidelines around that, because we need to do that. If you are campaigning, you need to report that I am running a campaign. I have this campaign manager, and this is how we're working and all that. So that's also allowed. But for now, necessary as it must be to acknowledge there's a succession that needs to be planned, we have opted to focus on the service to South Africans, especially the elections of next year. Because we have also realized that society shuns on the ANC focusing on itself, or even political parties for that matter.
Generally,
and leaving behind what those who are in leadership positions like ours need to focus on, which is now advancing the country, lifting people from poverty, dealing with the crime, corruption, and ensuring that services do not deteriorate, but we build on the successes. I think if you recall, President also recently talked about it, that we've improved in terms of piped water, sanitation. I mean, I used to visit my uncle in Orlando. There were bucket systems in the 70s already, 80s. All that we've made progress, but we have not arrived. So South Africans are saying, yes, you can contest, but what about our needs?
Yes,
and that's why
experience.
the majority of South Africans didn't go and vote. It was more about political parties, mudslinging, and all that. And the people of South Africa shunned it.
Completely. And that's why I will ask the same question in a different way.
Okay.
I'm hoping for, maybe it's my own hope for a different answer. Who's the next ANC president?
Well, time will tell.
Shouldn't, if you were to plan ahead, really,
Yeah.
anywhere in life, a company, a multi-billion rands company, is grooming young CEOs.
Yes.
They walk in a program already. The minute they come in as interns, they know exactly where they're heading.
Yes.
ANC doesn't have that.
We do. We have
then
a
if we do,
political
then we
school.
should have a sense of who's the next
No,
person.
I'm just saying that we do not lack leadership.
Okay.
Those that are ready and available for leadership. We also have a political school to ensure that anyone who would avail themselves for any leadership position is well, groomed to understand what the ANC is and what its mission is. So that's really what I'm saying, that we just opted not to focus on that. But wait until the day we say,
here they are.
This is now the time to prepare branches, start the nomination process. You will see. And anyone who is available will be allowed to stand and contest and be contested.
If your name was to be suggested by branches, would you stand?
Well, I'll think about it at the time.
Do you see why it's a complicated answer, this? Because if you were to ask me, I would be able to give you a clear answer that, it's a position that I would be interested in taking if the opportunity arose.
Well, I would say that there's a number of us who are available, but for what position, for what, we don't want to dabble in that for now.
Okay.
And
but you're available to serve.
I know, yes, I've always been available to
Yes.
serve. And Abu David, my passion for serving is less about a position, but about the difference we can make, or I can make in particular. And having children and grandchildren, sometimes having had to be dragged back into government after I'd asked to be released, because the next generation is not ready. Like we've had the problem of life as a Dimene. When I got there, I felt like crying. And some of the problems, you don't expect them whilst we live, those who have worked hard to put the country to a certain level. Just like the deterioration that we've seen in Tshwane. I think Hope Papo was talking about that. Even deterioration in Johannesburg,
Yes.
after Masondo and Pakstow left it at a higher level. Look at what we now have to do. So it is really about where can I make a difference, and is there a broad consensus that you should avail yourself. I've availed myself for this position because women looked at a number of us, and then they literally asked that we make available the experience, the expertise, the time, for women leadership, and also for making a difference in the party. It was not a singular decision.
No.
I never dreamt of being a Treasurer General of the ANC
Merogomokana.
and started planning for it and all that.
Yes.
Yes, it was.
It's an interesting time, though,
Yeah.
in the ANC. It's top 7 now, right? There's never been a time when there was so many women. Am I correct?
Yes, actually that's a breakthrough, and it's because there was very little. There was contestation. There's always contestation, even
by women.
By women,
yes.
There's always contestation, even in ideas. The ANC has always had contestation, but within. But once you reach consensus to some extent, or once the election is done, then we must get down to working. And there was, we had a policy conference before the national conference that was very clear that women must be represented. And the 50-50 is not only in the 86, it must also be amongst officials. Yeah. So it was a deliberate endeavor by not only women, by ANC to ensure that the representation of women is not restricted, but it's allowed and everywhere else. And factually, one is the first ever woman Treasurer General in the existence of the ANC. And yes, you are anxious, but because you know that what you've achieved is because of the collective of the ANC. And I must say, I appreciate the support of the collective. We've worked relatively well together. We engage, but we reach consensus and move the party and our people forward. For instance, even the intervention on the ESCOM problems, very difficult discussions internally that unfortunately you can't be privileged to. But finally we had a breakthrough. Yes. We said, let's have a dedicated minister. And look, that problem has been resolved. Yes. Dedicated minister who's competent and who can turn around. Focus and turn around. The ministers were there, but they were focusing on too many other things. Yes. And not this problem. That was the biggest challenge, not only for households and citizens in their individual capacity, but also for the economy. Yeah. So we had to do that. So there are times where, yes, we put our heads together, and it helps to have more women. Jessie Duarte was alone.
For a
longest of time. Yeah. And in her honor, we actually encouraged the ANC collective to ensure that women representation amongst the top 7 is at minimum 3. And that happened.
When are we having an ANC woman president? Timeline.
We do.
20 years?
Or ANC woman president.
Timeline, 20 years?
Well,
5 years?
I think
the next election.
You can just say it is imminent.
Any minute now.
Any minute now.
Wow.
Yeah,
okay.
just hold on. Any minute now. Yes.
Okay. We will see what happens. Interesting times lie ahead.
Yes, yeah.
Here's another thing, though, in regards to women within the ANC. Because collectively, there's probably more of you than the men.
Yes.
As in, if women all agreed, they would vote for women president.
Yeah, even if it is more, but even in South Africa, even if we are 50-50,
yes,
there has to be 50-50 representation as well. So, yeah, but, David, I always ask this question, who gives birth to these men?
Who do
it's
what?
a woman.
I know.
There are some women's sons.
So the woman is going to vote for his son, her son.
We're talking about 50-50.
Okay.
And I think there is consensus that women must also emerge as leaders. And I'm glad that in the ANC we are together with men. And you wouldn't have found 3 women in the top 7 if we are not together with many men. But it will not come on a silver platter. Women must also stand up. O.R. Tambo used to say, don't wait to be invited. Assert yourself. Yes. And Charlotte Madlanga used to say, this task of nation building, of freedom that time, now of nation building, is too big for men alone. Yes. So women must come forth.
Actually, I think as a son that was raised by a single mother, I've seen women perform 10 times better than men in a lot of spaces. My mom being a perfect example of that. So Yeah, well,
I'm glad you acknowledge that.
No. I'm clear. I'm not confused about this particular factor.
Yes. Yeah. But sometimes when a man must not have a feeling that they are left behind, but they must have a feeling that there has to be justice, there has to be equal representation, equal opportunity, and that women are as competent as men can be, and that they also have a right and a responsibility as well.
Here's something that I had to research to make sure that my question is correct. Is there a written rule within the ANC that the leader of the party automatically becomes the leader of the country?
At national, yes.
Is there a written rule that says if you're a leader of the party, you automatically become voted in parliament to become the leader of the country?
Yes.
That rule exists?
Yes.
And everyone is okay with this?
Yes.
I ask this question because what if populism has made a leader that is not really a great leader, but he sings better than all of you, he speaks better than all of you, but he may not run the country well?
Well, the biggest program we have as the ANC at this point in time, which we elect leaders for, is to advance a developmental state.
Okay.
And when we elect a leader at that level, with that in mind, we expect the leader to also lead the country.
So it's clear,
yes,
that you are, should we win, you will be the guy. The reason why this question matters so much to me, is that history tells us a very different thing. It tells us of presidents that even left you to start other parties. I don't want to mention names here deliberately because everybody will understand. What is your feeling about a leader that may come back to do wrong things or even damage the party further?
Well, regardless of whether the gender, you must remember that the leader who left the party, the previous president, it is ourselves. I was in the NEC that sat almost until midnight to discuss a situation where the party was more popular, for instance, than the leader. And the leader, there was concerns about the integrity of the leader and anxiety also that when the court cases begin, the ANC will be dragged there as well. So we took a very difficult decision for renewal. For integrity of the ANC, for the brand of the ANC, to send a delegation to request the then president to step down.
Yeah.
So that is, we've done it before. So it shouldn't be an issue.
Not once.
Yeah, not once.
That's that's why I'm uncomfortable with this question, because it didn't happen once.
Most definitely not once, yes.
The synchronization.
So even if, the issue is, why did the presidents have to step down? It was for a reason. And if it has to happen in any time in the future, the ANC is at liberty to do exactly that. And in this case of the past leader, it's because we wanted to send a clear message to South Africans.
We can stop. Go ahead.
That the integrity of the ANC is really one of the premiums.
Yeah. I sit here, ma'am, and also, are there regrets in hindsight? Maybe you may not be able to answer this question completely because you're not all of the ANC, you're just an individual. Are there regrets in hindsight of some of the divisions that may have happened in the past as a result of those uncomfortable midnight conversations? One, being a Julius at some point leaving to start a party. Two, being MK that became what it became. Are there regrets, or what is the feeling if it's not regret by the ANC now? That the ANC that has lost a lot of voters to these people?
Well, I don't think that we should regret sticking to the values and the principles of the ANC.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we should regret taking the difficult decisions of suspending an SG who was voted by the majority at the conference for violating the values and the principles and or in line with the constitutional imperatives, because the Constitution says if you are charged, you step aside.
Yeah.
Those are not easy decisions, but those are necessary decisions that conference after conference in the past few years have taken to ensure that the ANC brand, the ANC credibility is not tarnished, especially by those that are entrusted with leadership position, that the ANC leaders remain servant leaders, humble servants of the nation.
We find ourselves at that same crossroad now, man.
We are doing our best, but as I said, there is a spectrum of the results of 2024.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that the contributions is from subjective or internal factors, but there are also objective reasons. There are parties, for instance, who were maybe better funded. There are parties that we know that are playing around the issue of racism, the so-called swart gevaar.
There's tribal issues as well.
Tactics, yes. It may also be tribal issues, especially with this other party, or populism by an individual. It may not necessarily be tribalism, it may be, but also populism by an individual. It may also be this onslaught against progressive parties globally that it has arrived also on our shores. If you look at, for instance, the Herzog chap, he just hates anything that is progressive, that advances the country, including even having to come up with lies. You've had the visit to the White House
US,
also.
Yes.
I mean, a whole president had to go there and dispel lies, about South Africa. So we are not oblivious to the fact that there are those also external forces as well. But South Africans must be able to be mobilized, conscientized, and they should not allow themselves to be paralyzed. This is our common country. We must stand up and defend the gains that we have made, and indeed advance and ensure that we do not disengage, because we are where we are now because many South Africans disengaged.
There's a reason for the disengagement.
Yes, valid reasons.
There's frustration. There's lack of progress in their lived experience, and they feel,
yes,
they'll see to finish these.
Yes,
ones.
and also inward focused. That's why in many instances when I'm interviewed, I kind of veer away from internal issues because South Africans are just tired. They don't want to hear who is who in the ANC. They want to hear about funds that are available to help them as entrepreneurs, available as corporates, tarred roads, no potholes.
That's it.
Houses for those that are still left behind. Education that aligns with the economy, job creation. South Africans want to hear that. They want to focus on that.
Yeah. I can't help but talk about, you spoke about the credibility of the party, spoke about the brand equity.
Yes.
We are currently dealing with a Madlanga Commission that at its heart, it's an ANC leader. That is the reason we are there. If you're listening to the testimony of the past week or so, they're talking of an ANC leader. And there's a brand problem that ANC is going to find itself in. And you spoke about those midnight conversations where hard decisions had to be made. I'm not sure you are willing and able to tell us, what is the current feeling of the ANC about Madlanga Commission, for example?
Well, when the president decided on that, we supported him because we didn't want to sweep things under the table. We want to rebuild trust with South Africans, and if one of the trusted senior police say, "Hey, there's a problem," don't ignore it. Take it serious. Act. And we supported the president in establishing that. So we also wish we shouldn't have these concerns and problems, but if they're there, we must confront them. And this is part of confronting them. We await the conclusion of the process, the recommendations, and we have no doubt the president will act accordingly.
We hope so.
Yes.
You can understand our hope.
Well, maybe I must say I trust so, because I think he really has said in many instances that incidents like these distract us from the core of our task as a developing economy, and with so many areas of transformation still to be dealt with.
Have you been following the commission?
Yes, I do.
And?
I have to.
Do you cringe? I cringe.
Yeah, it's, you see, when you are a leader, yes, you cringe, but you await the conclusion.
Yeah.
So we await the conclusion, and the instruction that the president says is given is that it should not prolong too long, because we need to be able to be seen to intervene.
It can be the state capture one.
No, it's an area that is too close to the hearts of South Africans in every way. At individual level, crime is critical. At corporate level, investors, securing your business. Business is becoming expensive to run because of the issues of safety and security, and so forth and so forth. It's an area that is really at the heart of the South African advancement and progress.
I want to speak about an area that is at the heart of your life. You are not an honorary doctor. You end this bongakabu as a medical doctor. And when you were a young girl, what was the interest? What was going through your mind in terms of the future you wanted to follow? Do you still know? Can you still doctor?
Well, I am still doctor.
I know that, but can you still doctor in a sense?
Let me explain what I studied. I had a choice of being an obstetrician gynecologist. That's the last department I worked in when I was in hospital. And I did think about specializing. However, the problems that really I wrangled with more was preventing the problems that we're seeing in hospitals.
Instead of treating.
So I studied public health, and I was inspired by a story of Dr. John Snow. During a cholera outbreak immediately post-World War in the UK, and when colleagues were busy trying to save those that come with diarrhea, vomiting, and whatever else, he asked, "But what causes this?" And they said, "No, stop talking, work." He just left them, and he did an analysis, epidemiological studies, where do they come from, patients, and finally found a tap from which was infected. He closed that tap and directed people to use other taps. And then he went back to his colleagues, and his colleagues said, "Sure, where were you? We were so busy, but there are no longer patients coming." So that's what inspired me to follow the public health path. And my focus is on health systems, health policy, health economics, and so forth. So I also teach at the University of Pretoria, the health systems faculty, and both undergraduate and postgraduate, and I'm an associate of the World Health Organization's Collaborating Center on Social Determinants of Health and Health in All Policies. So when I was a mayor, I championed potable water, safe water for all, for me, it was also public health. When you deal with electricity, when you deal with the household income, you improve also the health of the public and you reduce the disease burden. That's really what drives me. I'm still a doctor.
You're still completely.
Yes. Yes.
Basically, I'm asking you, no.
Yes, no, I'm still very much registered. But maybe something interesting that also inspired me is that the seatbelt was innovated by doctors because they were really frustrated of seeing head injuries. So all of it is health sciences, and we're doing our best to have a healthy population. And I championed also the National Health Insurance Act consultations and submissions to Parliament. I submitted on behalf of the ANC, and we hold colloquia around that. So what I do is to really advance the health and the happiness of South Africans, and we work together with all sectors.
Look at how you know the medical side of seat belts. Na as legita, I know which car was the first to have a seat belt. It's Volvo, the Swedish, were the first to and they didn't patent the technology. They decided this is too important for us to keep to ourselves. They gave it to all the car manufacturers at the time.
Yes, which was good.
Exactly.
A good world citizenship. Yes, thank you.
Tell me about when you look at young doctors who are struggling to get work. How does that resonate with the way you see the world as a doctor?
It's a very disturbing phenomenon. When I was Deputy Minister of Health, we went to negotiate with Cuba to open up from the few hundred of South Africans that have been trained to 1,000 because the South African medical schools were refusing to open up. They were creating lots of barriers. That helped to have real engagements with South African medical schools, and over time they have really opened up. So having had to take those extraordinary measures and to see doctors who have studied for so long and who are eager to serve, not absorbed in the health system, especially the public health system, it's really a tragedy. For nation building and national health. And one of the challenges is the institutionalization of opportunities for doctors. But if for instance with NHI, we would be able to say these are areas where we need to improve doctor-patient relations. That's what the countries that have advanced in terms of universal health coverage do. And then you put incentives for doctors to do that. It was also my experience that the issues of funding was a constraint, and also the issues of preference of the doctors was an experience. And if I remember, for instance, Limpopo was quite creative at the time. Before the doctors finished their community service, they would already, entice them to go to areas that are underserved. So we need to do more around that.
I'm surprised and disturbed. Most of my friends, I'm lucky, I guess, I can get a script if I'm sick, because most of my friends are medical doctors. So, but I get surprised when we continue to have this problem, yet the country needs doctors.
Yes.
We acknowledge that the country needs doctors.
Yes, I think it's a. That's why we need to radically transform the system.
Yes.
The system as it is also sets barriers. For instance, medical aids would decide which doctors they will work with.
Yes.
And the public sector would provide funds that are not adequate, and so forth and so forth. So we need to, with a national universal health coverage under the NHI, then everybody will know where we have a shortfall of doctors, and be able to, when doctors apply, then they would know which areas do not have adequate coverage.
National health insurance is not celebrated by everyone. We know this.
Yes.
There are those that do not want it to ever see the light of day.
Yes.
For clear and obvious reasons, if you
Yes.
understand what it stands for. Timelines are important.
Yes.
Because the crisis of healthcare has even led to a situation where Putudula are going to hospitals and so forth, stopping foreign nationals from entering hospitals. What are we dealing with exactly when it comes to NHI in this regard? What conversation are you having as an organization about NHI? We know it's accepted by everyone, you in particular, but
Yes.
when is it implemented?
It is in the process of implementation as we speak. The fund has to be established, and we want to leverage the experience of the country of the medical aid industry. You may recall that the medical aid industry is governed and regulated by the Council of Medical Schemes. Medical aids like GEMS were also introduced as a step towards.
Yeah.
So the country has been preparing for universal health coverage. So the NHI Act now is part of that journey, because we should not also be disruptive.
Where we stop today and
yes,
start
where
something
we stop
tomorrow.
today, start some, and then everything collapses.
Yeah.
So the process is unfolding. I've held so far 3 colloquia around this, and I'm very inspired that one was with professionals and the regulatory areas, environments, and institutions, where minister also attended and so forth. Another one was with medical aids themselves. Some medical aid, the second biggest, I don't necessarily need to mention their name, invited me to their rebranding, and they said very clearly, we only cover 300,000 lives.
Imagine that.
And then the biggest,
and yet it's the second biggest.
Covers about maybe 700 to 800. Wow. And then they said in my face, we can't stop NHI because there are more than 60 million South Africans
that need health coverage.
Yes, but we want to communicate, to participate, and also to find a way of making the policy work for all of us in a fair manner. And those are the attitudes that we want to encourage.
Yeah, because we went during a campaign where we were saying, from tomorrow you can walk into any hospital. We had problems like that.
Yes.
But it's alive, it's well, go, and we can't do that.
The one that really inspired me even more is the one we had on the sidelines of golf in Limpopo, and with health workers in rural areas. The focus was technology and rural areas, bridging the inequality gap.
Yes.
And we were really thrown overboard by how doctors themselves are innovating technology. They have telemedicine where the local doctor can be assisted to do an operation off-site.
What?
In Botlokwa Hospital, we've had a robotic knee surgery. And so forth, mammograms and cataract operations in far-flung rural areas.
Amazing.
So South Africans, there are many positive South Africans who are an encouragement that NHI will have a win-win situation. There may not be high profit margins, but all professionals will have a place in the NHI because there are funds to be managed. We need those with that expertise that are now mainly in the medical aids and so forth and so forth. So we need all South Africans to focus on how we work together to get the best structure of the universal health coverage in South Africa.
This is the people's favorite part of any conversation I have with people. When I ask them, where were you born? Where were you born?
Born, bred, married in Atteridgeville.
Ayana Peli, through and through.
Through and through.
Like my mother.
I'm also going to Peli this afternoon after this interview. young people have an award ceremony to recognize the Pele Legends.
Wow.
So it's very inspiring. And if the younger generation can really want to learn something and be inspired by us, and those they will award. I'm not one of the awardees. I'll just encourage them to do more. Because where I come from, there was always competition and strive for excellence in all spheres of life: sports, arts, culture, education, and so forth.
Jeez.
And so that's, if we can engender that in young people everywhere. But I've also met young people, for instance, in the Eastern Cape, who looks at problems not as a barrier, but as a challenge, and they are innovative. So I do spend a lot of time with young people.
Yeah. What type of Atteridgeville were you born into? Do you remember?
It was dusty, but it was vibrant.
It was new.
It
was also new.
Yes, it was new, and it was one of the few townships that had toilets in the house.
Oh yes, of course.
That had street names and street numbers. We would get a little bit disorientated when we go to other townships because it was more of an ERF number or whatever. But it was vibrant. And when you had a wedding, like in many other areas, you put a white flag at the gate.
Is that how you were married? They put a white flag.
No, it was long after me. You must remember we went through the period of no celebrations, Black Christmas, Black everything. But I'm just saying it was quite vibrant.
Yeah.
Yes.
What brought you to politics as a young person?
Struggle. That's the only thing. I tried to move away. When I finished clinical work, I opened my practice in the city center. Then I was invited by IDT, which was then chaired by Mampila Rampila, which formed a really transitional capacity to whilst negotiations were taking place, 92 to 95.
Okay.
So I think then one thing beget another. Then one of my commanders, the late Dr. Mulifisi Fularo, called me and said, I can still instruct you.
Oh, hell.
And I said, that was underground. He says, no, but why did we fight for if we are not prepared to build this democracy? With the skills we have, and that's how I landed back into government.
Amazing.
But anyway,
wow. So it was not your journey.
No, it was not. Honestly, it was not my journey. But I'm humbled to have served, and that is why we make the knowledge, the experience that we've gained at the disposal of our country.
So, if I was to speak to a Dr. RAMOKGOPA wa matric, this is not how she would have described her future.
No, my future was being a medical doctor. I matriculated at Pirikulupe High in Limpopo, and there were no health services to speak about. I did my standard 10, which is
metric, no.
10, not 12.
Oh, 10. That was standard, yes, of course, 10. Like from 10.
And there were no health services. And I was convinced that that's what I would really want to do for my country.
Yes.
So I don't regret taking that route. And yes, I'm also very humbled to have been part and parcel of the collective that were available to help build the health system.
Yes. Which university did you
Medunsa. Yes.
Which principal? Mokgokong?
Initially it was Professor Talliard, and then later Professor Mokgokong. Yes.
I've had a rare privilege of sitting with him and have a conversation like this very recently.
Yes.
And it's the most amazing chat.
Very.
You know, he's so insightful
Yes.
in the medical space. It doesn't even make sense. He still practices, by the way.
You know, I think he has retired a bit,
Well,
but
he still
he
goes-
goes in
yeah.
and to keep himself busy.
Exactly.
And it's really a privilege and honor that he's still with us and he's able to engage, he's able to share his experiences. He's one of the unsung heroes in South Africa, because many, if you remember, there were those that were saying boycott Medunsa. And he's one of those that, no, let's not boycott. Let's turn it around. Let's transform it. Let's
Fight it from inside.
Metamorphosize it,
Yes.
you know, to be what we want it to be. So, he's one of those that, for me, are my leaders and inspiration and yes, will honor the role they've played. Even when we went into strikes and all that, boycotts and all that, because we said we are members of society before we are students, they would also coach to say, yes, but you'll need these skills.
Do it this
you
way.
know? Yes. So, and I must also acknowledge that although it was an institution that was not meant to advance black doctors at the same level as white doctors. The Professor Talliard also was very patient. We really pushed the institution. And yes, police used to come and harass us there and all that when we go out, Mangopes people and all that. But yes.
on the cusp of Botswana and South Africa.
Exactly.
Yes.
So, but that was a training ground for leadership.
Yes.
And that's really the
And you didn't know
the history
that you'll end up as a Sainyova.
Well, it was what we needed to do.
Yes.
We looked at our parents having suffered. You know, the boot of apartheid was on their necks.
Of course.
They couldn't breathe, you know. And others were in jail, others were... And we said, the generation that comes after us can't go through that, can't find us in that situation. So it was a deliberate decision that we must end apartheid with our generation.
Yes, yeah.
And many didn't make it. I have a number of colleagues at Medunsa who couldn't make it. Many were tortured, many died. Many went to exile, so it was not easy for young people, but we did what we needed to do.
Incredible, eh? When you reflect on those times,
Yeah.
the young people today don't know where we come from.
Yes, I remember one time we were from wherever we were, we had to hike behind a truck that gave us a lift. We were studying for the tests. And
In
it
the
was
truck.
Sunday. Yes, it was Sunday. And the following day, we were writing tests and all that. So, yeah, it was...
What a time.
We actually said that we had a philosophy that passing was also a revolutionary task. And we would also exchange. If someone is in leadership and is not doing well academically, we'll say, shift, someone else take over,
Yes.
focus. We want you to pass and to pass well because you have potential. So, those were the days. And we wouldn't wish that on any generation.
No.
However, we did what we needed to do.
Tell me about your parents.
Well, my mom was a teacher, taught at least, I think, 3 primary schools locally. One of them I attended there, but after she left, Matseke, and I've now adopted. Yes, I've adopted it as in my foundation.
Okay.
We are trying to build a better infrastructure there. And also introduce digital technology. We have a very passionate principal there.
Yes.
The attitude just says, please help, and it's a pleasure to help a leader like that. And my mom used to bring students who were not performing well home.
Really?
And yes, it would take time to go through whatever and finalize that. So we had lots and lots of sisters and brothers coming through. And she later taught adult literacy.
Okay. Ke
So,
abet.
ke abet.
Yes.
Bo ntatemogolo le bo mmemogolo would come running from work, come home. We know that we're not supposed to make noise. From 6
used to do it
to
at
7,
home.
yes.
Wow.
Before they built a facility for that. And my dad worked as a clerk in the municipality, and but he also did a lot of other jobs. He was a draftsman. He used to draw plans. He used to also help with doors and whatever else. He did odd jobs during the weekends. So yeah, but I'm glad we were 7 at home. The youngest passed away at 16. A very rare cancer, and as boys and girls we shared chores. Would have a roster.
Those
Doesn't
were the
matter.
days.
Yes. So, but we are a family that was open, cousins and everybody else. So yeah, I think one appreciates that environment.
Seems like it was a nice, beautiful, wholesome upbringing. With its own life challenges.
With its
but
own life challenges.
It had two parents.
We didn't have enough money, but my parents always said, what we will never be short of is money to take you to school.
Yes.
You can't have everything, but you must know that if you have education, nobody will take it away from you.
No.
It's to empower you for a lifetime. Yeah, yes. We will be empowered for a lifetime.
Yeah.
I was the first at home to afford a car, for instance, and so forth. So a very humble home, but they've really strengthened us with values and also to trust in God. I mean, you would ask, Mom, where does the grocery come from? He would say, well, trust in God.
You said you don't have money and now we are eating.
Yes,
what happened?
Trust in God. How am I going to go to school? Trust in God, something will come. And so we grew up knowing that even though there are difficulties, we must trust that a better tomorrow will come.
Your parents must have been proud. You worked your dad worked as a clerk. You ended up running the very city that he worked for. That's an interesting, special story, right?
Yeah, no, indeed, very interesting. But that's what we mean by singing that our mothers were kitchen girls, our fathers were garden boys. Well, we not only philanthropist and communist and all that, but we now are having the responsibility to ensure that we raise a nation that is educated, where all life is equal. Doesn't matter what job you do, even those that have a garden, do gardening and do domestic work. Their children can actually lead us one day.
Absolutely.
Can be our doctors, our engineers. There should not be any child who's left behind because of the background in which they are raised.
One of my favorite phrases, I may quote it incorrectly, says, you must work so hard that your kids will be doctors. And they must work so hard that their kids will be artists. So money is not a problem when you have an artist in the family. So those are the type of lives that our parents really wanted to achieve. And when they end up with a doctor, that's a very good story.
Yeah, well, it was the first graduate in the family, but others followed afterwards. But I think it's a story that is also prevalent. It's a lived experience of many South Africans today. Absolutely. And that's why we have so many graduates, and it pains my heart that the economy can absorb them. So it's an urgent matter that we must resolve for these young people, because they are our future.
You have been labeled as the fixer. They call you up when there's problems. Am I correct in making that observation? You were called back in other departments. You were called back there. Remind me of one, particularly City Man. And you said it. You found chaos. And I don't think it was the first time. Did you go back with Swane? at some point? Did you leave and come back?
No, when I asked to be released, first and foremost, it's Dr. Sifularo who really pressurized me. Encouraged me and also Dr. Tsepo Motsepe. We were together in the interim health committees of transition. And we even had to be interviewed. We had to go through interviews and all that. So when I came to assist in the Department of Health in Gauteng, around 1995, I was then requested to be a backbencher initially at the City Council of Pretoria during the interim period. But I ended up being the leader of government there for the ANC. Yes, it was because, not that because there was no leaders, but it was because the leaders were fighting amongst themselves. And to give the provincial leadership at the time a chance to deal with those issues without affecting governance, I was asked to do that. And when my term ended as the MEC for Health in Gauteng, I was again asked to go and assist the city of Tshwane immediately after Father Mkhatshwa. I work with a collective that is focused on the task at hand. I don't think I work as hard as people think I do. If I have a good collective, I had a very good, tenacious, diligent, passionate head of department, Professor Letitia Rispel, and she's one of the amazing public servants that I've ever had to work with. It was a pleasure and privilege, and she built a team that turned around the health system at the time. And I would spend time with clinic committees, hospital boards, to just have the experience at the interface of service and really encouraging people to own up and have a performance agreement, come back later and say, how are we doing and all that. Yes. So if you have a good team, you can turn around any difficult situation. And that's really my message to South Africans. There's no problem too big for us to fix together.
We just have to do it, I guess.
Yes, we just have to focus. Yes. But if we are defocused on this and that, even a small problem
becomes much bigger
and become bigger. Yes, it becomes a crisis.
Jeez. So the fixer title, do you take it? I would take it.
There's been so many titles. There are people who still call me EM, executive.
Really?
There are people who call me this. So for me, a title
is neither here nor there.
It's neither here nor there, but it's always humbling to be given a positive feedback whilst you're still alive.
Or a positive title.
Yes, whilst you're still alive. Yeah.
Yes. How do you relate with Minister of Electricity?
We relate, I think, 2 generations are up there. And I referred to his mother, may her soul rest in peace, as our sister. So he refers to me as aunt. It's a family that we also grew up together with the support structure. If at home there was no food, I knew I'd go to his home, share whatever they have, and similarly as well. So but it's really heartwarming to see him as a young man. Maybe not so young anymore. No. Very diligent. Even like a professor. So diligent and making us proud.
It's always been like that, though.
Yes.
Even during his days at the fruit and vegetable.
Yes, he turned around the thing.
Yes,
just like that.
That.
And he was the
fresh produce.
I think the youngest. CEO of the year, awardee at some stage.
That.
So, but there are also a number of such young people or even South Africans who are not necessarily young. That if we give them a chance, they will really make us proud
Yes.
as a country.
It's an interesting thing that you both became mayor of City of Tshwane.
Yes, people were saying, how does it happen? You just retire and hand over to Mchanawa. No,
I didn't do that. It's not a family business.
These young people who I left behind went to look for him from Joburg to say, hey, come home. We want a younger person to run the institution. And we know that Dr. GWEN is not here forever,
Yes.
and then he became the chair of the region.
Yes.
And that's how he then succeeded me.
Yeah.
It was not handed over.
No.
No.
He didn't inherit it. That's Another thing that stands out, the past few weeks or months, we've been dealing with the surname thing as South Africans, where we say now I can marry and take your surname. Your surname. Your husband you don't use the same name.
No, we don't use the same name, and I'm honored. But sometimes I think about it, especially for my children, whether I shouldn't go double barrel or something like that.
Yes.
But it's something that I'm grateful he's at ease with.
He was whatever you want. What made you choose your maiden name?
No, I didn't choose my maiden name. He found me with it.
Oh, of course. Well, in the moment, I apologize.
And
I'm technically incorrect.
And I had to really think through whether I want to change my ID, my qualifications, and all that.
Because everything has to change.
So maybe if we had married before I qualified, I wouldn't have thought, had second thoughts, would change surname. But it is also that additional responsibility and task and what. And so we discussed and he was at ease with it.
It never came up in family meetings?
It does. No, it does. It has come from time
even
to
now,
time.
it still come up.
Yes.
Hey,
they say, ke makoti wa rona o, change
after so many years.
But I think... well, it's not said in a negative manner.
Okay.
But I'm also aware that, as I've said, even myself, I do think about it.
Yes.
From time to time.
But you say, it'll solve itself.
Yeah, in a way, yeah.
I wish us as South Africa a leader like you in the future. I certainly hope that we are all able to turn this country around. Matata ona ra itse. That's why some debated against the dialogue. So with the problems we know very well. We experience it every day. And one of the greatest problems that we're dealing with now, and we didn't even touch, is affordability. South Africa is becoming a terribly expensive country for ordinary South Africans to live in. The price of electricity has become ridiculous, and so forth and so forth. So that's why I say we wish somebody that cares and loves this country to a point where we can all see it and feel it. Because South Africans are not about talks anymore. Those days are gone. We don't want to hear you speak anymore. We want to hear you do something.
That's
or
true.
To see you do something.
No, that's true. And maybe tax rebates are not enough. That's why there was an uproar over VAT.
Yes.
Even within the ANC itself, we had to identify the high cost of living
as an issue.
As an issue.
Yes.
So we have to resolve that. And I'm aware that the issue of electricity affordability is on the table. And also affordability also, for instance, of housing. When you are starting your own family, small family, it's far-flung areas that are affordable, not closer to work.
That's it.
So it's an issue that I agree we really need to tackle.
I have to ask as we conclude, ma'am, immigration issues that we're facing, the issue of porous borders, the issue of undocumented immigrants in our country, illegal mostly. What is your perspective on this issue?
We were excited when Minister Mzwaledi started the border policing issue. And I think it was Minister Delil who started the fencing issue. And we were saying we're going in the right direction. We also need to use, amongst others, technology,
drones
and all that. That is unquestionable. We certainly need to be able to manage immigrations in our country. I think also we must also mobilize. I used to go to hospitals for Christmas and New Year babies, and some hospitals you'll find 80% foreign mothers, and I would have these deep discussions with them as to how come that they left the comfort of a family support to come and give birth so far away in an environment of them being illegal immigrants. And they shared that the health services in where they come from had collapsed.
Yeah.
So in a way, we had an agreement that we must start a campaign of knocking at the door of every president in our continent, if not in the world, to say, put the health care needs of your mothers and children, of your women and children first, because part of the first 6 months or first 6 weeks after the postpartum, what you call postpartum era, that's where you have complications for mother and baby. And when you have family support of abu gogo, abu auntie, whatever, the mother and the baby have optimal support. So that's what we must do. We must, yes, document them as they come to our facilities, but then take data. We used to invoice the countries, but some of the countries would say we didn't send them, they didn't go legally to your country and all that.
Why are you charging us?
But it must be part of us saying African Renaissance must also mean the quality of life for mothers and children.
What do you say to South Africans that are tired of illegal foreign nationals in the country? To do like showing us that there is an energy of exhaustion. It
says to us we must work better, faster, and involving all South Africans.
Yeah.
And we must have programs, we must be passionate, and we must raise it in whatever platforms, the AU, the SADC, and we must put pressure on the leaders of those countries.
Yeah. Do we run the risk as leaders, leaders of parties, leaders of who end up in parliament, the risk of being detached from a gentleman who lives in a shack, an unemployed person who hasn't worked for many, many years, and they don't have a plan, and there's no progress? Do we run the risk as South African leaders, from the position that you continue to hold, of being too far from the reality of South Africans, because we drive in blue lights and our lives are different?
Yeah, that is a real problem. We were with Deputy Minister Masondo, and now at the memorial of Dr. Mabasa, and you can sense that the community there in Kagiso, they may not know really, he's busy, he's whatever. And I just suggested that perhaps wherever we go, we must come with our entourages that provide information on the services that are available. I mean, he holds a very important portfolio for SMMEs and also for funding growth for businesses and all that. But I acknowledge that he's doing a good job, but also acknowledge that we also become too administrative, and we must work differently. I know ministers work hard, very little time.
I've seen them in meeting after meeting after meeting.
Yes, but the social distance needs to be bridged.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because it causes permanent damage.
Yeah, you yourselves have said that is the first time you get an ANC person here. So, I mean, there are ANC leaders, competent, able at the branch, region, province, national. that can come and talk about what they do in their spaces.
The programs on the ground.
Yes, the programs on the ground. Yes.
Yo, I can go on forever, man.
Yeah.
Lata too much because of me. I can go on and never stop. Can I record ya interview ya 7 hours?
Okay.
So let me not repeat myself. Thank you so much,
thank you very much.
I wish you well.
I wish you well too. Thank you very much.
Thank you. There we have it. Wow, that's a special one.
King David Studio Podcast.